start there. So, what is going on? It is Thursday. It is November 8th, and we've got a humdinger for you guys today. There's a lot of good stuff to get into. First of all, I'm going to give you guys my first impressions on 10 Hearts, which is available today. I don't know if it's on Steam yet because I checked probably about 15 minutes or so ago. I mean, it's on Steam, but I'm talking about the price. I don't know what the price is yet, and I know it's going to be available in about an hour or so. So we'll have the price very soon, but I will have my thoughts on 10 Hearts. Also, check this out. I got an opportunity to play Eclipse Edge of Light. I was just talking about it yesterday on the show very briefly that I'm kind of interested in this Oculus Go game that used to be a big time daydream game. Now it has finally come over to the Oculus Go, and I was able to get a chance to play that last night, and I definitely have my thoughts on that. So both of those impressions are coming up soon. But first and foremost, let's get right into it, guys. Beat Saber. We've got a date. You can see it right here. It says November 20th. They've made it. Beat Saber. Okay, so the publisher is Beat Games. Developer is Beat Games. So I guess Hyperbolic Magnetism is no longer the developer name for Beat Saber. They've gone fully 100% to Beat Games, and this is available in time for Thanksgiving. How critical was that? I mean, we are talking mission critical. Had to get this game available prior to Thanksgiving, and that is going to happen November 20th, 2018. Perfect timing, and there's a brand new trailer for it. So let me go ahead and get back here. Yeah, they've been calling themselves Beat Games for a number of times, but I still would see Hyperbolic Magnetism here and there. So I wasn't sure that they 100%, I thought maybe Beat Games was going to be like the parent of Hyperbolic Magnetism, and they would be the publisher, and Beat Games is really them, but they would still be Hyperbolic Magnetism. I kind of thought that's the way it was going to go, but apparently they are going 100% Beat Games. Okay, so a brand new trailer has hit. Let's go ahead and check it out.
I got the power, I got unlimited power. I got the power, I got unlimited power. I got the power, I got unlimited power. Winning the game, we are not playing the same. I was just going insane. From red to blue, from blue to red, and take it from red from overhead. We're playing, we're playing, we're playing, we're playing. We're playing, we're playing, we're playing. PlayStation. I got the power, I got unlimited power. I got the power, I got unlimited power. Winning the game, we are not playing the same. I was just going insane. From red to blue, from blue to red, and take it from red from overhead. We're playing, we're playing, we're playing, we're playing. We're playing, we're playing, we're playing. PlayStation.
Fuck. My bad. My bad. Muted again. Muted again. I did it again. My bad. My bad, folks. That's the other thing I gotta fix is the level thing, so I don't have to mute anymore. But I was just talking about this trailer, and I was saying it's kind of a cool job that they did with the trailer in terms of the letterboxing, and then how it gets opened up later. And it's very short, very sweet, but there are different songs. I love that Beat Saber logo, the neon sign and everything, just very beautiful. Really like what they got going on here. At the very beginning of this trailer, you'll see what I'm talking about. They're playing with the letterboxing. See, really narrow, and then as the beat hits, They're opening up the letterboxing, and that's pretty cool. I really like the idea here with this trailer. Very interesting. First time I've seen anybody do something like that with the letterboxing in quite this way, and then full blown for the music. Looks very clean, very crisp. I'm sure this footage is off of a PlayStation 4 Pro. Looks pretty nice, baby. November 20th, it will be arriving. And this is a big game. You know, this is a big game for the entire VR gaming industry, because the reality here is Beat Saber has the ability to break through to the mainstream. It's already broken through to the mainstream, quite honestly, but PlayStation VR is the most popular VR platform out there. You've got so many millions upon millions of people that have PlayStation 4s and are a potential PlayStation VR customer, and now you have Beat Saber added to the mix, and I really think it is crucial that this is available prior to Thanksgiving. I think a lot of PlayStation VR players need to bring their PlayStation VRs to their Thanksgiving Day party and show this game off, let everybody play it. Pretty exciting. That is Beat Saber. And I Am Rhett says, Anthony, are you going to pull it out for your Thanksgiving family celebration? I pretty much have to, right? I mean, I pretty much have stuck my foot into my mouth and said that this absolutely needs to be a Thanksgiving Day deal. And so I pretty much have to do it. And it's going to be curious to see everybody throw this on in Thanksgiving and play it a little bit, and hopefully they won't trip all over the wires and smash their TVs and all of that, because there are a lot of wires with PlayStation VR. So that is pretty cool. Okay, so let's see here. What did I want to do here? I know we got another trailer I wanted to get into that came out just before the start of this show. Oh, Rec Room, Crescendo of the Blood Moon. Let's go ahead and check this one out, guys. So, Rec Room continues to add extra little niceties to their overall profile there with Crescendo of the Moon. This is coming on November 15th. Looks like kind of like a little Halloween themed kind of a deal here. Maybe they were just a little bit late. Probably wanted to get this out in time for Halloween, but oh well. They're a couple weeks late on it, but looks pretty cool. I have not been in Rec Room in a lengthy time. I really should probably check it out. Go back in there. Every time I get in there, it's like nothing but loud kids yapping and stuff. So typically avoid that. Okay, well, you know what? A number of games have come out today, or well, not today, but oh, this is the other news I forgot to get into. I totally forgot about this. Oculus Rift, baby. The price has dropped $50 for the Oculus Rift, at least at Amazon.com and also at Best Buy. So a nice opportunity. If you've been waiting on grabbing an Oculus Rift, you can go ahead and grab one for $350. Not too shabby. This has happened a lot. Oculus has been at $399 since the summer of Rift. And they've been at that $399 price for quite some time. And they've dropped to $350 on a number of different occasions. And so this isn't really real big news. You know, a $50 price drop is not like monster news. It's still very good news. It's exciting news. And it's an opportunity for some people that have been fence sitting a little bit. They see the $350 price and they're like, you know, $50 off. Okay, now I'm going to jump on it. I kind of would like to see $299.99. I think it would give PCVR another shot in the arm if Rift could get down to $299.99. I know that's asking for quite a lot, but $350, not a bad deal. And if any of you are actually going to pick up an Oculus Rift. You know what? In the description, I will have a link to this it's an Amazon associate link. So if you do buy an Oculus Rift off of that, I think I would get like a few pennies out of that. Now, I'm pretty sure it's only for USA. So if you're in the UK or anything, don't worry about that. Best Buy also has it for $350. So we could possibly see it at additional retailers, although it's pretty much a Best Buy Amazon kind of thing. So if you want to go to brick and mortar, you can run out to Best Buy, grab it for $350, or you can go to Amazon and grab it for $350. So not a bad deal. And you know what? It brings up the topic of HTC Vive. Like, when are they going to come off their price a little bit? I really think they need to make a little bit of a move on their price. Okay, let's see. So I wanted to go over here. I'm going to go to 10 Hearts, the Steam page, and I'm going to update this. And I'll show you guys what I'm looking at here. So it says 10 Hearts, November 8th, Rogue Sun, available November 8th, will unlock in approximately less than an hour. So I guess it's basically going to unlock at noon. So we got to wait a little bit. I don't know what the price is, but you know what? I'm going to go ahead and get into my discussion about it. I have a lot of thoughts about 10 Hearts, and pretty freaking impressive is basically what I got to say about it. Let me go ahead and grab a 10 Hearts trailer. Might as well throw that on the screen while I talk about it. Okay, so here's my thoughts on 10 Hearts, and don't want to have the volume too loud, so I'm going to quiet it a little bit here. So I got to be honest and say, coming into 10 Hearts, I wasn't that hyped to play this. Now, originally when I looked at some of the video and screenshots and stuff, I thought, oh man, is this a platformer? Am I controlling this little guy that's running around? Because it kind of reminds me of this game Clockwork Knight way back on the Sega Saturn. And I was like, oh, is this a platformer? And then I came to understand that this is a Lemming style game. And when I found out that it was a Lemming style game, I was like, really? I don't know. I'm not that excited about playing a puzzle game guiding little lemmings guys. Like, that isn't something that I'm dreaming about. But I knew that, this is a pretty big game, right? This is a pretty big release. It looks like a high quality title. Rogue Sun is an unknown developer. We don't really know them, but they are not a bunch of dudes working in their garage trying to learn Unity and basically thinking they can throw a VR game together. These are former Fable devs. These guys have some chops. And this is a pretty big release in the month of November. And for November 8th, this is kind of the big PC VR game that a lot of people are thinking about possibly grabbing. And so I knew I had to play this. I had to give my thoughts on it. But honestly, a Lemming style game is not something I would be thinking about normally. But I got to tell you, super impressed with what is going on here. Now, I've only gone through maybe like 6 or 7 of the very first levels that you go through, so I haven't been through this game very far, but basically what it all is, it's pretty much what it looks like. You open this box, which starts your 10 soldiers. It starts them on their march, and they're going to march in a certain direction, and then you have a number of wood blocks that you place on these spindles. You pick them up and you slide them down and you place them on these spindles, and it directs the little 10 soldiers. It'll direct them to the left, to the right, this way or that way. And so it starts off relatively easy in the very beginning. It's, they make it nice and simple, which is nice because sometimes these games will make your brain hurt. And I haven't even gotten to the part where they grab a balloon or anything like that. I think actually this level right here, that level with the train track and stuff, I think that's just to where I've gotten at this point, and I haven't finished it. But you first start out there and you're right in front of a table, and the little guys are walking around and you're directing them. And at first I was thinking, oh, this is going to be kind of basic and kind of simple because they're just going to put you in front of a table. It's probably going to be node-based. You're basically just going to stay in front of tables and they'll change, but that's pretty much it. But no, you're actually teleporting around rooms, and it starts getting more and more complicated, and you have to teleport around the room and grab a wooden block that's a little bit further away. And it starts getting into this situation where your 10 soldiers, they're going this way, they're going that way. You got to take one of these wood blocks, you got to put it here. But then as they start getting further along, you might need to grab that wood block again and move it to another location. You got to be quick about it, and it can get a bit chaotic, and it can turn into one of these things where as you start getting into the later levels, it might get a little bit frustrating from a standpoint of, do you want to be scrambling around and like, oh my God, I got to grab this, I got to do this, I got to do this. Oh no, they're falling off the table, they're dying. And it is really cute when they do fall off the table and they smash into a million pieces. The other thing I want to recommend to everybody is when you're playing this game, at a certain point, take some time out and move your head and get really, really close. Like, get really, really close to them and watch them as they're walking around. Very detailed and just kind of a magical little world. Let me talk about the world that they're putting you in here with 10 Hearts. It very much is this like Charles Dickens thing, okay? But it's also, it kind of reminds me of like Pinocchio and Geppetto's Workshop. I feel like I'm in Geppetto's workshop. Now, I don't know where the hell Pinocchio is, but I know I got a lot of these 10 soldiers, and these 10 soldiers are moving around, and I got to try to guide them to their destination. And, you know, when you first start a level, you'll see a little gate, a door, that says like 0/4, and it means that you've got to guide 4 of your 10 soldiers there, or 0/3. You got to guide 3 of them, and then as it starts to get harder and harder, you're guiding like 6 or 7 of them. And so you start off doing, it does have a cool Christmas vibe. Let's see, who is that in chat saying, yeah, Paradise Decay. It does have a cool Christmas vibe. It does have that kind of Polar Express, kind of a magical world vibe. Like Rogue Sun, they're basically, I guess you could consider them an indie developer, but this is not an indie production. Like, I will not be shocked in the least if the price is a bit higher on this game. Like, if this is like $29.99, $34.99, hell, even $39.99, I wouldn't necessarily be super, super shocked by it, because this is a high-end production. When you get in there and you're doing the little puzzles at the beginning, I was kind of reminded of Twilight Path by Charm Games, which recently came out, just in terms of like the sound effects and little subtle things that are going on around you, and the Oculus hands that you're using, and kind of magical, and the sounds that kick in, the background music reminded me a little bit of Twilight Path. Of course, the gameplay is completely different. You know, it's the Lemming style gameplay. But one of the very cool things about it is sometimes you'll be solving these little Lemming style puzzles, and you will have to lead 7 of these little soldiers to the checkout point where they end the level, and you've guided them along, but you're waiting, and the little soldiers are kind of going slowly and slowly along, and you're like, okay, it's going to take quite a while for all 7 of these guys to get there. But in the background, there is a clock, or it's like off to the side of you or whatever, and you can go ahead and grab that clock, and you could move the arms, the hands on the clock, and you can speed it up. $19.99? Holy smokes, this game is $19.99. Did the Steam page just get updated? If it's $19.99, I would say absolutely you probably want to grab this if you like puzzle games even remotely. I'm not seeing a price yet, or maybe that's for a different price for a different game. So anyway, we'll wait. Oh, it's $19.99. So the price is $19.99. For that price, hell yes. Yeah, the quality of this game, in my opinion, I mean, I guess if you just can't stand puzzle games and you absolutely can't stand Lemmings, it doesn't matter maybe how cheap it is. But what I was talking about, though, before we found out about the price, I was talking about this clock thing where you can speed the puzzle up. Okay, the press kit says $19.99. Okay, I didn't bother reading that. You grab the clock, you take the hands, you start moving it, and it does this like clock thing where you're standing in front of the table and you have this wooden table. You're in Geppetto's workshop, right? But kind of in your periphery, it's like space. It's like you're in outer space, and you start seeing outer space, and it's kind of like this, you're speeding up the hands of time thing. You're speeding up space, and it's a cool little effect. It's subtle. It doesn't beat you over the head with it, but you quickly notice, oh, that's kind of cool. You're like outer space. You're speeding up the hands of time, and it does this like little interstellar thing, and it's actually quite cool. It's a nice effect. I really liked it. I did write some notes about it. Let me see. I was trying to see, was there something I could complain about? There is something I can complain about, and I don't know that this is something that maybe they could add on later, or if other people would like to do this. The one thing that I noticed immediately, and I didn't really check the options, so maybe there is some kind of option to do this, but one thing I wanted to do almost immediately was to raise the table, to be able to raise or lower the table just like brass tactics. Please, Rogue Sun, if this is not already in there, maybe it is, and I just need to look for it in the options or whatever. No, you know what? I went into the options, and I don't think there is an option to raise a table, but I always leave the caveat that maybe I was mistaken. But raising the table quickly up or down, although the problem is you get into these later levels and there's multiple tables, so. But I guess you could teleport to the table and raise it up pretty quickly. I wish you could raise it up or down, because I want to raise the table up and I want to see these little guys up close, man. I want to see these little guys like little holograms right in front of me, moving along and marching along. Like after you solved the puzzle pretty much and you don't have to worry about it, then raise the table up and maybe just kind of watch them for a second and raise it down. I don't know. For some reason, I feel like I want to be able to do that, and I don't believe you can do that. Another problem that I had is, one of the main gameplay aspects of this game is you're going to be grabbing these wood blocks that are basically cut into triangular shapes. And it has a crescent moon on one of them. It has a T on one. It has a U on one. And I forget what the other one is. But there's like 4 different blocks, right? And you have to look for these blocks sometimes. They're not necessarily right in front of you. Sometimes you have to teleport over to another side of Geppetto's workshop and grab one of these blocks and teleport back and put it in the right way onto these little spindle things. And one of the problems I did have is I could never seem to grab the block with my right hand. And I tried to grab it with my right hand a whole bunch of times because I'm right-handed, and it's just instinct to want to grab it with my right hand. And for some reason, I could never seem to grab the game with my right hand. However, my left hand, I had no problem grabbing it. So I don't know if that was just some kind of weird thing, or you can only grab with the left hand. That was a little irritating. But that's pretty much it, man. Everything else was really good. At one point too, so minor spoiler here, but I mean, we're talking super minor spoiler, but I think in this story, you have a daughter, okay? And at one point, when you get to a little bit further in the game where you're in a bigger room where there's multiple tables and you're teleporting around, there's this one part where you see your daughter over by the table over there, and she's like playing with some wood blocks and stuff, and she's like looking at you and smiling at you, but she's kind of in a ghost like form, or almost like a holographic form. And that reminded me of Heart of the Emberstone and Transference a little bit. And that's kind of an example of the stepped up production quality that is in this game. This is not a super indie-ass indie game, because we have a lot of that in VR right now, and you don't know. I mean, I'm surprised this game is only $20. I think they're doing a really good job here in terms of pricing it at $20. A lot of people should jump on this bandwagon, because I think there's a lot of crappy games that are $19.99 that are priced the same thing as this, and this thing has a lot of polish to it. Okay, I do remember one other thing that irritated me about this game, and it's the snap turning, okay, which you don't have to use that much, but sometimes you will want to snap turn. So I played this on my Oculus Rift, and I think it's the upper button. The upper button on the right controller will snap turn you this way, and the upper button on the left controller snaps turns you that way. The problem is that the snap turn is weird to me. It's a little bit weird to me because the way the snap turn works is it kind of goes the other way and then turns. Like it goes the other way a little bit and then turns. And there's something about it that isn't. I've done snap turning in a million games, and just give me your standard snap turn that is just bang, bang, bang. My brain handles it perfectly fine. The snap turn on this doesn't give me motion sickness or anything, but there's just something a little weird about it. So that's another thing that I noticed. But like the sound effects, the special effects, lots of tiny little details. Definitely the Charles Dickens vibe, the Christmas old-timey kind of like early 1900s vibe a little bit, or 1920s, 1930s or something like that. It's got this old-timey vibe that is really cool. So that is 10 Hearts. Definitely a fan of 10 Hearts, certainly. Paradise Decay says, Anthony, I could use both hands, but you can't walk if you hold a block in the controller you use to move. Yeah, for some reason, I was trying to grab blocks with my right hand, and I don't know, I was having some kind of problem with that, so not sure what the deal is with that. Paradise says, Anthony, there is an option for sitting or standing, and the game is still early access, and people have reported problems with teleport. Around level 4 or 5, you unlock free movement. Oh, okay, well, I probably just didn't get to the part. And Chris Cox says, can't you just lean in and look at them close? Yes, you can, but the table's kind of down here. I was playing it in standing mode, so maybe if I put it in sitting mode, I didn't try the sitting mode as far as like getting up close to the characters. But yeah, you could just bend down and look real close, and you can walk kind of over to where they are physically and look real close at them. I just thought it would be super cool. Brass Tactics style. Like if you guys have played Brass Tactics, you can grab that table and raise or lower it within fractions of seconds. It is just so easy and effortless to grab the Brass Tactics table and raise it up or lower it. And I think that's something you could do with this game that would make it kind of a little bit cooler, in my opinion. But I'm a major fan of 10 Hearts. This was impressive. I was not expecting to like this. I was not expecting to be interested in a game like this, to be honest. I thought it might be kind of high quality, but that I'd be kind of bored playing it, but I had to do my due diligence. And it surprised me. It's a game I want to come back to. Now, I'm sure I would eventually get to some levels that would just make my brain hurt so much that maybe I would end up giving up on it. But from what I've seen, it's absolutely worth a $20 price if you're even remotely interested in puzzle games. And if you like Lemming-style games, if you like any Lemming-style game, you're probably going to want to grab this thing ASAP. Okay, so that is 10 Hearts. Let's see. So now I do have another game that I was able to play yesterday. Keep accidentally hitting the wrong buttons here. But the other game that I was able to play is Eclipse Edge of Light. And so when I throw this trailer on, it says only on Daydream. This is the old original Daydream trailer. And but it has now made the journey over to Gear VR, and it's available on Oculus Go. I believe this is a $10 game on the Oculus Go, so I believe it goes for $9.99. Full disclosure, I got a code for Edge of Light. I reached out to the developer and got a code, White Elk, and I also got a code. Well, I think it's actually VR Roundtable got a code for 10 Hearts. So full disclosure, I got codes for these things. So understand that. I'll usually probably go out of my way and say that I bought it myself if I reached into my own pocket. So definitely want to reveal that as well. But yeah, this was originally a Daydream title, and it now has come to the Oculus Go and Gear VR. And I was excited about this because I figure the Daydream has to have a couple of bangers. There have to be a couple of games on Daydream that are really solid, because every platform needs to have a couple of solid games. And so I figured this has to be a pretty solid game, and now it's made the transition over to Oculus Go, and I get to enjoy it. This would be awesome. So Eclipse Edge of Light, yeah, White Elk is the developer, and I reached out to them and was able to get a code for this and was able to try it out. And I gotta tell you guys, man, if you have an Oculus Go, I think this is probably a must-grab game, in my opinion, from the standpoint that if you want to try to see what like a real adventure game could be like on the go, like how close can they get it to like an Oculus Rift kind of experience or an HTC Vive kind of experience? Like how far can you go in that direction with something like the Oculus Go? And I was playing it standing up, and I'm standing in my living room, and I have my headphones on. I hooked up, good headphones. You might as well go the extra distance with a game like this. This is an adventure game that wants to wrap you up in its story, so you want to go the extra distance. And I was standing in my living room, and this is a game where the movement system, it is a little bit hard to get to grips with the movement system, because you're using that little Oculus Go controller, which is 3 degrees of freedom, but they do a good job here. White Elk does a very good job, because they actually do like some basic inverse kinematics almost, because when you look at where your controller is, they give you an arm, and it's relatively on point. It's relative, every once in a while it'll go weird, and it'll get way out of where it should be. But sometimes you're looking at your arm and you're like, wow, they pretty much got this dialed in, and you're exploring this wide open environment where you can pretty much go in any given direction. And with the touchpad, you basically press the top of it and kind of just push forward, and you just go forward. And you can go backwards as well. And then if you press down and hold it, you basically have a hover pack. And so you're like an astronaut that has crash landed on this strange, magical alien world, and it's got pretty good music. The graphics, here's where we're going to get into a situation with the graphics where you've got to understand there's limitations. This is not going to compete head-to-head with an Oculus Rift game or an HTC Vive game. In certain ways, you kind of forget about the graphics, and you feel almost like, I almost feel like I am playing an Oculus Rift game, an HTC Vive game, an adventure game where I'm going anywhere, and I'm hovering and not teleporting, but I'm basically hovering with a jetpack, and I'm exploring this unique environment, and I'm solving different puzzles, and it almost feels like an HTC Vive game or an Oculus Rift game, but at the same time, the graphics have definitely been watered down. I mean, this is on the Oculus Go, but it's weird because when I'm playing it, I cannot help think about the Oculus Quest, and I kind of wonder where Quest graphics are going to be in comparison to this, and is it going to feel, because what I feel like when I'm playing Edge of Light is I feel like I'm playing, it reminds me of the PlayStation Vita. The PlayStation Vita experience, because you would get anybody that had the PlayStation Vita early in its existence, and you were playing Wipeout on PlayStation Vita, and you were playing Hot Shots Golf on PlayStation Vita, and you were playing that one Uncharted game that was on PlayStation Vita, you would play it, and a part of you is thinking, man, this is almost like console quality. This is amazing what they did with the PlayStation Vita. It's almost console quality. It's almost like I'm playing the real PlayStation 3 game on this portable. It's amazing what they did. You're thinking about that in the back of your mind, but then at the same time you're thinking, yeah, but not quite. It's not quite there. It's watered down. It's not quite there. I'm seeing very basic things, very simple things. When I'm really looking at all the cracks and all the seams, I notice that it is not a PlayStation 3. That's what I'm thinking back in the old Vita days. So it's weird because you're in this conflicted situation where a part of you is like, holy shit, it's amazing what they've been able to do here. But then another part of you is like, yeah, but it's watered down. And I couldn't help thinking about the Oculus Quest. But I don't want to convict White Elk for any of this. They've done a pretty masterful job of dealing with the hardware that they have available, and that's why. And look at these beautiful environments. Like, some of these environments are really gorgeous. When you first get into this game, one thing I will have to say is, if you are a VR veteran, you absolutely want to get into the options ASAP and turn off this extra like motion sickness prevention thing that they have on your astronaut helmet. So you're kind of like in this astronaut helmet, and then they have this extra thing that kind of comes out and like zzz, 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 kind of moves around like that, and it kind of blocks part of your periphery. And it's meant to alleviate possible motion sickness for like noobs and stuff. Noobs are going to want that. But if you're a VR veteran, you're going to want to turn that thing off immediately. And once you turn that off, you really feel like you're kind of in a magical world. And then the other thing is wireless, man. This is the closest I've ever gotten to wireless gaming. I don't have an HTC Vive wireless adapter. I don't have a TP Cast. But I do have an Oculus Go, and Oculus Go, there are no wires, and that is a beautiful thing. The only wire I had was for my headphones. And so I'm playing this game, and I'm holding my controller, and I just start, I'm turning my body. I'm turning in all kinds of directions. I'm turning around. I'm playing this in the middle of my living room, and, I'm turning wherever I want to turn. And there's a nice freedom there. But what I did notice as well is I noticed that I still have this sense of having a cord, and so I'm hesitant to just move wherever, but the freedom is there. So that was beautiful as well. But yeah, as far as the game is concerned, like, I barely touched it. I'm not going to say scratch the surface, because you have to take a shot of Jack Daniels every time I say that. But yeah, no, I did barely scratch the surface. I got this later in the evening last night, and I basically played for about an hour, maybe an hour and 20 minutes. I was pretty into this, and if it wasn't late at night, I probably would have played even farther in it and gotten farther in it. But you can see there's some nice surreal worlds, there's some puzzles, there's some things going on. The sound, the graphics are all pretty good. But you will have these mixed emotions. I think anybody that plays this, I think you will have mixed emotions, because you'll be like, wow, this is getting close, but I see all the seams, I do see the cracks, I see all the limitations. But I would be excited to see what White Elk could do, possibly on the Oculus Quest, with true, legitimate hand presence on both of your hands, 6 degrees of freedom tracking on both of your hands, 6 degrees of freedom for your head as well, and then the higher end Snapdragon that is not being used for a phone, and it's got active cooling, and it can be overclocked and all of that. It's going to be super exciting to see what White Elk could do here. So that is Eclipse Edge of Light, and I'll probably be talking more about this. I might even be talking more about 10 Hearts as well as days continue, because I've barely got into this. And you might also want to watch, if you're interested in both of these games, you probably want to watch the VR Roundtable episode this Sunday, because I imagine we're going to talk about both of them. So it'll be fun to do that as well. So anyway, let me go ahead and switch back over here to chat. Zypon says, or Zypon, Eclipse looks so cool. It is pretty damn cool. I think Oculus Go owners should strongly consider this. Jim Hall says, so the big HTC news is Vive Focus to be sold in North America and Europe. Is that it? Wow, I completely forgot. Yeah, Thursday at around 11, there was going to be some big enterprise announcement from HTC. I forgot all about that. I assumed it would be Vive Focus, but I actually forgot about that. Hussein X says, but he makes sacrifices not being able to complete games as he has to touch the games for viewers' sake. Okay, yeah, they're talking about how I barely touch any of these games. And somebody earlier in chat was saying how they're jealous about being able to touch, like they wish they could grab all these games like I get all these games. And I'll answer both of those concerns. And the first one about being jealous of getting all these games, oh my God, I am so freaking spoiled. I am so freaking blessed. I get on here a lot of times and I'll talk about how I've made no money whatsoever doing this. And that is true. I have made no money whatsoever, but I have gotten a gang of free codes and tons of preview codes and review codes. So many developers have been so incredibly kind to offer up all these codes. They do not have to do it. Nobody is holding a gun to their heads, forcing them to do it. And I'm not a giant YouTuber by any stretch of the imagination. And VR Game Rankings, the website, isn't like a highly visited website either. So these people don't have to give me codes if they don't really want to. And I am absolutely blessed for all of that. So no question about that. And then to the other question about how I'm in this situation where I'm always scratching the surface of everything and I'm not getting very deep into it. You know what? It's the cost of doing business. It's the cost of doing business. I could avoid a lot of these other games and not play them and try to get deeper into like, what game would I want to get super deep into right now? Like Jet Island or something, like if I really went off and just was like, you know what, I'm just going to play Jet Island over and over and over again. I'm going to get deep into Jet Island. Or Windlands 2. Like, if I didn't have to cover anything right now, I'd probably be playing Windlands 2. I'd probably want to finish Windlands 2 from beginning to end. I don't know, I might be like halfway through Windlands 2. And if I didn't have anything to do, that's what I'd be doing. But I feel like it is my responsibility to come here and talk about as many games as possible, like Tin Heart, like this game Eclipse, all these games that are coming out. I feel like it's my duty to report back on this stuff to you guys. And that's part of what we're going to do here on this daily show. We cover news, but I also want to report back on these games. And so I feel like it's a responsibility to try to play as many of these games as possible and try to report on as many of these games as possible. The downside is yeah, I'm kind of scratching the surface. I'm sure Paradise Decay is pretty much in the same boat. It's hard to get really deep into these games. I don't know. Paradise, what do you say? If you're still in chat, what is it like in terms of, like, do you feel like you're not getting deep enough in these games? See, I feel like I'm touching a pretty good chunk of them, and I'm giving my first impressions, and I'm telling you, it's my first impressions. I have not finished these games. I'm trying to be obvious about it, but maybe sometimes I don't mention it. Prince Alexander is saying, so what is today's big HTC Vive announcement? Well, let's go over to Upload VR. You would think if it was a big announcement, we'd see it. And Upload VR, just what they're talking about out there, the Oculus Rift is down to $350. I will have a link in the show notes that will be an Amazon associate link. And if you're in the USA, I might get like 20 cents if you happen to buy one. Just throwing that out there for the sake of why not? Why not? Angry Birds might be coming to location-based VR. Yep, we saw that yesterday. I reported on that yesterday. That was on the Vive subreddit. Somebody saw that on a Facebook post. And it does appear to be coming to location-based VR arcades. Beat Saber devs are responding to PlayStation VR exclusive content backlash. Haven't really got into this, but the release date, November 20th, I am super excited about that. We were saying how November is a relatively light month. And if you own a PlayStation VR, and if you've never played Beat Saber, November just got a hell of a lot better. Beat Saber is a strong game. Let's not mince words here. I am not a rhythm action guy by any stretch of the imagination, but I was freaking blown the F away. Do you guys remember? I told a story where freaking tears came to my eyes when I played Beat Saber the very first time I played it. It really did, because there was that one song, Escape or whatever, that one song playing Beat Saber, and just how everything just came together in such a beautiful way while I was playing that song the very first time. It was one of those magical moments where I was like, God damn, these fools absolutely killed it. It was one of those rare circumstances where you get goosebumps going up your arms because you're like, oh my God, these fools nailed this. They absolutely nailed this. And so if you've never played Beat Saber and you're a PlayStation VR owner, this is actually a pretty big month now, especially you got Transpose as well that just came out. You got Daracene, and none of the PC VR players have that. And that is, yeah, so release date confirmed, exclusive content detailed. So I don't really know, excuse me, my throat is hurting me a little bit here. Don't really know what all the different exclusive content is. Let's see, it's going to feature PSVR exclusive campaign, 5 new and exclusive songs, and a practice mode. And I guess a lot of people in the PC VR world are a little bit bent out of shape over that. But I think, you know what, my suggestion, just relax, just calm the F down, because they'll probably bring all of that to the PC VR game very soon. So I don't think that's too big of a deal. So Prince Alexander is saying, but wait a minute, what is HTC's announcement? Because Upload VR didn't have anything about HTC Vive. Let me go over to Road VR, and they don't have anything there yet. So I guess we're kind of waiting to find out for sure what the deal is. I'm not on the subreddit, so I don't know what's going on over there. Andy Sky says $600 for the Vive Focus. Hope they fail. Yeah, that is a hefty price right there. And he's saying Quest will take care of the Focus. And there's no question about that. And I think that's why it's an enterprise product. Now, the Vive Focus does have a couple minor advantages. Well, no, not really. It just has those cameras on the front. The Quest is legit 6 degrees of freedom. And Prince Alexander is saying, hey, Ant, hey, all. What is going on, Prince? Glad to have you. Glad to have everybody in chat as well. Gary Haylock is saying, Anthony, you need to get Super Chat and Patreon. Yeah, Super Chat is going to be coming in the not too distant future. It's one of the reasons I moved to this channel. My old channel was like screwed up in some kind of weird fashion where it was just a dead zone. So that's why we came over here. Super Chat will be coming, but I have to have 1,000 subs and like so much watch time or whatever before I can get monetized. So that will come in the future. Super Chat, absolutely. And yeah, Paradise Decay says, me and Anthony are sailor buddies. We're in the same boat. And he's probably talking about how we both have to kind of scratch the surface. We have to keep moving on, new games. We got to keep doing it. We don't necessarily want to do it, but we got to do it. And Jim Hall says, Population 1 devs have secured $5 million to further develop the game. That's good news. Looking forward to that title. And Steve Bishop is talking about Wipeout that made me cry. It probably did. Look, I cry more often. I'll watch a movie and it'll just make me, a freaking tear will come out of the corner of my eye. I'm not like, oh, I'm not crying like that, but a freaking tear will happen. My eyes will water up. I'll admit it, okay? Maybe I'm one of those sensitive guys, sensitivity. Ralph Tresvant, but yeah, maybe I got a little bit of sensitivity. It is what it is. But it's funny. Our boy Steve Bishop, he's actually playing Population 1, but he can't say anything about it. But I bet you he's having a damn good time, and Population 1 looks absolutely badass. In fact, why don't we go ahead and throw on the Population 1 trailer, because it is a damn good trailer, and I've been running that same trailer now for quite some time. So let's go ahead and switch these trailers up. Where is Population 1? Here it is, Population 1. One of the badass trailers. Like you look at this trailer, man. Like this looks like just watching this trailer, graphics, everything. This looks like this should be the #1 most wanted VR game, period. Like it really looks like it should be. It's not #1 on VR game rankings, but it looks like it freaking should be. I mean, this game looks absolutely badass. If it really plays like this, and it really looks like this, I'm not shocked in the least that somebody would give a $5 million pop to Big Box VR. I'm not shocked in the least. This game looks absolutely spectacular. Battle Royale only in VR. This is the kind of game that my kids would actually want to jump in and play. Dude, Virtually Chris is in the building. What is up, Virtually Chris? I'm guessing that's Chris from VR Roundtable, right? I've seen Virtually Chris, I think, in chat before, And I don't know if I made the connection. So we got Steve Bishop, we got Virtually Chris, Where's Gary? The whole crew could be here. And Phil Yearn is saying, wink twice if it's good, Steve. I'm guessing it's probably very good. I just don't know how good it is. And then I'm also kind of wondering about performance, and I'm wondering about the multiplayer action of it and how all of that works as well. So, but man, this should be on everybody's short list for absolutely most wanted VR game. And this could be one of the first major hits to come to VR that isn't coming from somebody like Bethesda or Rockstar or something like this. This is big box VR. These are the Smashbox Arena guys. And and they've done good things with Smashbox Arena, and now they are moving on and they are making a legit battle royale with the building and everything. See, this has the building. You know, this is really doing the Fortnite thing, and then adding in the jetpack and all of that, and just having drop dead gorgeous graphics. I apologize for my throat here. I got a little bit of a throat problem today. Okay, so you know what? One other thing I wanted to get into before we check out of here as we run down, I do have some other trailers that I could pop on here. I did grab another trailer I wanted to show off. Let's see here. So Google Spotlight. So, you know, all the Google Spotlight stories that are available on Steam, a lot of really good stuff, absolutely free. Definitely check out all the different Google Spotlight stuff. Well, I have a trailer for a new one. It is called Age of Sail. And I thought we could throw this on and check this out real quick. So let's go ahead and check this out. This is Age of Sail.
This world is no use for an old sailor. And I was supposed to be alone.
Well, you're not alone.
So that is Age of Sail. That is a really short teaser trailer.
Use for an old sailor.
But you know what? I like these kinds of graphics. You know, it looks like you're inside a painting, like a living painting is surrounding you. So I'm definitely down to check this out. Let me look. When is this going to be available? Or is it available already? Age of Sail. Okay, yeah, Google Spotlight Stories, Age of Sail on Steam. Here it is. So I'll show you guys over here. Let me go ahead and turn this down a little bit. We'll switch over here. Yeah, so here is the Steam page for Age of Sail. Age of Sail is the story of William Avery, an old sailor adrift and alone in the North Atlantic. When Avery rescues Laura, who has mysteriously fallen overboard, he finds redemption and hope in his darkest hours. This looks hella dope, and this comes out on November 13th, so not too long before we get this, and I'm assuming this is going to be free because I think all the rest of them have been free, right? It is directed by Academy Award-winning filmmaker John Cars. And it has the voice of Ian McShane, I believe, is the sailor, is the old sailor. So looks pretty cool. Definitely, you guys want to check out these Google Spotlight stories. Let me see if I can click on Google Inc. Yeah, okay. So they have Pearl, Sonaria, Rain or Shine, Special Delivery, Piggy, On Ice, Back to the Moon, Son of Jaguar, and Age of Sail. These are all free to play. The Spotlight stories. I've tried Sonaria. That is really cool. Pearl is really good. Rain and Shine is really good as well. I know I've tried a couple of these other ones, but I don't really remember them too much. But definitely worth checking out. So that is a new one in that category. Okay, guys, let me see. I need to grab a sip of water real quick. So what I'm going to do is I have a new trailer for Arca's Path that is talking about, it's like a developer diary, and it came out recently. And so I'm going to throw that trailer on because it'll give me a chance to go grab some water real quick, because the show is not done. I got a couple extra things to talk about real quick. So we go ahead and do this.
Arcus Path is a beautiful and engaging story about a little girl who lives on a bit of a dump. She finds this mask and it takes her to some very amazing places.
In this virtual world, in the mask, you are downloading this girl's consciousness into this ball and trying to discover the world. You are trying to navigate puzzles and figure out the best ways to get through.
So Arcus Path was inspired by a lot of the classic ball physics rolling games like Marble Madness and Spin Dizzy. And your main input is your head, and you use your head to steer the ball through a variety of puzzles and hazards.
The simplicity of control of just using your head means it's very engaging, very gettable, and you really focus on moving forward. You can navigate this full 3D landscape and platforms just by looking around.
Throughout the story of Arcus Path, the character that you play as arrives in this beautiful sort of fairy tale world, and it's very peaceful, and you're just exploring these really beautiful landscapes and gardens. But as the game progresses, you discover that things aren't quite what they seem, and the world becomes a bit more hostile, so you start to encounter much more challenging environments.
The world crumbles around you, it becomes more broken, it becomes more glitched, and because of that, the world becomes more difficult as well.
So you can have kind of physical obstacles of things breaking underneath you, or kind of having to choose different paths and seeing which one you can navigate best.
So we're trying to create a range of different emotions in Arcus Path. There are certain levels that are very relaxing, beautiful gardens that are fun to explore at a slow pace. Later on, there's some environments that are quite intimidating and some very hazardous gameplay that you need to overcome.
Alrighty, had to break out the emergency banana and get a little bit of water there. Okay, yeah, show isn't done. Sorry, I had to announce one other thing. Major announcement, breaking announcement. I have just confirmed Grand Theft Auto 5 is coming to all VR platforms. No. Okay, let's see. There was one other thing I did want to mention real quick. And it's kind of minor. It's not a big deal, but might as well mention it because I was talking about this just yesterday. And that is Tabletop Basketball, because you know what? There is a date for Tabletop Basketball. Yeah, I was talking about this yesterday, and I'm only wanted to bring this up really quick because if we go over here, it does have a date, November 23rd, because the last time I checked on this game, it was October 2018, and obviously October 2018 is a distant memory, and so this does have the date of November 23rd. This is being developed by Red Zone Studios, and I don't know, I'm still kind of interested in this game personally, just because I'm curious as to how we're going to do legit sports games in VR for competitive sports players, not like first-person type shit. That's a different category, and I think this could be the way forward, and I'm hoping like 2K games, if they'd ever do an NBA 2K in VR, this is the way they would have to do it probably. And so that is Tabletop Basketball, dated for November 23rd. So I did have that. Let me see. Was there anything else I had to get to too before we check out of here? That's pretty much it. Yeah, that is pretty much it. Okay, so what we can do though real quick is let me just take a last quick check of chat. And they're talking about the price, I believe, for the Vive Focus, which is kind of ridiculous. And audio too quiet. I think my audio's on max, so maybe the background noise is quiet. But anyway, guys, Tabletop Snooze Fest, huh? Okay, so Shirzad Khan City probably doesn't like sports games, which is fine. But sports games, oh, 10 Hearts. The 10 Hearts page is now live. So why don't I go ahead and check that just so we can see what it looks like now that it's fully up. $19.99. Wow, that is shocker to me. Yeah, here it is. 10 Hearts Steam page is now in effect. Oh, maybe because I have the game, it won't show me the price. But anyway, it's $19.99. Let me go ahead and refresh this. Yeah, it's $19.99. That was the price that came up. So it's live. You can go ahead and grab it. And I think definitely a very solid release. So that is 10 Hearts. But anyway, let me go ahead and get my little outro thing on the screen here before I check out of here, if I could find it. Alrighty. So that is basically going to go ahead and do it for episode 4 of our show. We, of course, talked a little bit about Eclipse Edge of Light. We talked about 10 Hearts, and we had a bunch of other stuff that we got into as well. And of course, you know, the release date for Beat Saber for PlayStation VR, November 20th. Definitely excited about that. I think that's going to be big for the VR industry at large. I know Beat Saber, it's old news to most of us, but it isn't old news to everybody, and so that's why it's kind of a big deal. Beat Saber, by the way, when it hits the Oculus Quest, that is going to be a big deal as well. But anyway, I'm basically done for today. That's going to do it, and we will be back tomorrow on Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific time, right around there, somewhere around that time, and I will see you guys then. So take it easy. See you tomorrow. Later.